edition of Walking Reviews. Today we are going to be taking a look at a new production knife, well I should say a new version of a production knife from Boker. This is one of their most popular models, the Urban Trapper, which originally came out as a titanium frame lock. Was really popular, but it had a couple of small little issues, so they re-released it as a liner lock and also as a frame lock. A couple of the issues they addressed was like the flipper tab was just a tiny bit too small in the original, and there was a couple other little things. But so this is a sprint run of that knife. One of the complaints people had was not being able to get it in premium materials, so they made this version in S35VN with a DLC coated blade. So real quick, I'll give you the specs, even though I'm sure you've seen this knife before. Blade length is just over 3.4 inches, and handle length is just over 4.2 inches, giving an overall of about 7.6. Very good blade to handle ratio. As far as the blade goes, it is a clip point design with a fairly high flat grind, and because it's such thin blade stock, you get a very keen edge. Handles are titanium liners that have been anodized blue with a black, I guess, G10 overlay. There you can see the lockup. So this isn't like the sturdiest knife in the world. Oh, I'm sorry, the weight, 1.8 ounces. So this isn't like the sturdiest knife in the world. You do get a good bit of blade and a good bit of handle, but this is still what I would consider a very light utility EDC. I really love the knife because I don't do anything super heavy duty with my pocket knives, so this pretty much holds up to whatever. But even though there's no blade play, there's blade flex. Because everything is very thin, the blade is thin, the liners are fairly thin, which on the plus side gives you a very minimal pocket presence. It's also a skinny knife, even at its widest point. So it gives you very minimal pocket presence, including the deep carry pocket clip. But it does mean that it's not the sturdiest of knives. I would never want to try and do any kind of prying with this, any heavy duty like push cuts on sturdy material, even though that would probably be fine, but you run the risk of damaging the materials. So this is a ball bearing pivot, so you get nice smooth action, not quite fall closed smoothness, but I think that's probably because of the strength of the detent, which makes for pretty fun flipping action as well. You can find one version or another of this Boker Urban Trapper from a huge variety of price ranges. They have like a new petite version with a sub 3-inch blade, and I think the very basic model of that goes for around 80 bucks, I want to say, all the way up to this one, which is like their like I said, a sprint run with more premium materials, which I think was like 120 or 130, but they all tend to fall into that price range of between like 80 and say like 120, but most of them tend to be closer to that $80 range. So as far as like things I like and dislike, I really like the ergonomics. It's very simple and very small, but it still manages to be comfortable in the hand, thanks to this little finger groove here, which also is a cutout for the lock bar. It's just just enough to give you a little feeling, like you're not going to feel like, oh, I'm holding a giant tool in my hand. Most of you will never feel that way, but it's enough that you feel comfortable using it, even if you have to press it into this kind of grip. I mean, 99% of the time you're probably going to be using it like this, if you use it for food prep or opening packages, stuff like that. But it is very comfortable to hold and use. As far as the blade shape, it's very capable. This isn't like a cheap finish on the blade, which I actually thought it might be. It's actually, I've been using this for a while, and there's still not a mark on the blade as far as the finish deteriorating anywhere. So I think it might be like a DLC type of coating. I don't know if it's exactly DLC. I'm not 100% sure on the process they used, but it is enough where it's going to hold up to use. Not like Benchmade's black paint on their blades that fades away after a couple of weeks. This should be there for a good long while. As far as branding, you get the Boker Plus, and then you get Brad Zinker's Maker Mark and the blade steel. There's the serial number. I don't know how many pieces this particular sprint run was limited to. So I can't really tell you how hard they're going to be to find. I think it was a mash drop exclusive, though. I think I signed up for a mash drop. This is also very easy to clean thanks to the extremely simple construction, which is also another in that column of not heavy duty. You have one standoff and then your pivot, and that's it. There's not even like an extra stop pin screw or anything like that. So yeah, definitely something to be, if you do use your knife for a little bit heavier duty stuff, definitely something to be aware of. They did put a little bit of jimping here on the locking tab, which, you know, it's nice, but I don't think it's even super necessary because of how thin the liner is. It's super easy to disengage. It does not hurt your finger at all to disengage that. So it's nice to have it, but I don't know that it was necessary. The jimping on the flipper tab, definitely necessary, because you're gonna either want to push button this or kind of use this to pull down. I mean, you can flip it like that, but it's so awkward. It's just so much easier to locate the jimping on the tab and then pull back. Not that you can't do it that way, but to me, it doesn't make sense to. As far as fit and finish goes, you can see there the centering is spot on. Well, I guess we're starting to get a little bit of wear on the pocket clip. Not a lot, but anodizing for me has never been something that has stayed on a knife. I tend to play with my knives a lot, and anodizing has never lasted on a knife for me. Which is a shame on some knives that are like really intricately anodized, because I end up ruining it so fast. But I love the color scheme of this, that blue and black. Very cool. This is a knife that you could slip into a pocket for like an office carry or whatever. You'd never really even remember it was there until you needed it. And then it's got the capabilities of a larger blade, because you're very close to that 3.5-inch blade, but it's so small. I don't think this looks threatening. I don't think this would really scare non-knife people, so definitely an added bonus there. Yeah, that's about it for this one, guys. A very cool sprint run of a very popular knife, so I'm sure you've seen it before. Apologies for the car sounds in the background, but yeah, it's one of Boker's most popular models for a reason. I actually like this better than, I've owned some Brad Zinker custom knives, and I think this one is better than all of them. So yeah, keep an eye out for the sprint run Urban Trapper. Also keep an eye out for the newer models of that coming out. You know, in case the original wasn't to your taste, they've got other flavors of this knife coming out, so definitely check those out if you can. Alright guys, take it easy.